Hey, teachers, do you think that the iron fist approach works in the classroom as it relates to classroom management? Are these tough teacher tactics the way that we should go? Or does the iron fist approach lead to our kids just shutting out everything that we have to say? And now suddenly our voice sounds like the teacher off of Charlie Brown. Did y'all hear that? Or was it just me? That's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to try to figure this issue out because I think a lot of teachers go into the classroom and they think they have to be a tough teacher. But is that really true? If we haven't met yet, my name is John and this is Teacher Talk, where we restore joy to the classroom one teacher at a time. One of the biggest classroom myths, in my opinion, is the lure of the iron fist. And I understand exactly where teachers are at because that really ought to work. I mean, after all, we're the adults and they're the students, right? We should be able to say, this is what we're going to do, or this is the way you're going to do it. And kids should just automatically go do it. But if you're anything like me, you have found that that's not quite the way it works out. Now, I get it. The iron fist will, to some degree, make us feel like we're in control. But what it actually does is it demonstrates that we are not in control at all. Because here's what the iron fist won't do. The iron fist will not build trust with a student. The iron fist will not build a culture of respect in the classroom. And the iron fist will not cultivate any type of creativity in the classroom at all. The only thing that the iron fist will do is it will cultivate an atmosphere and an environment of resentment, not responsibility. So if we're going to make a difference in the classroom, then we're going to have to put the focus somewhere else. And that focus needs to be on connections because connections change everything. And believe it or not, I believe that most students want to have a connection with us because they want to know that we're interested in them. They want to feel like that they're valuable and that what they have to say and the things that they have to offer are important. This doesn't mean that we should abandon structure because we're going to talk just briefly about structure here in just a little bit. Rather, it suggests that we ought to do away with the rigid rules and regulations and learn to focus more on the building of relationships. For instance, I think that we should go out of our way to learn student names. Now, I know that that sounds obvious and that's something that we do eventually. But one of the things that I've noticed nowadays, and maybe you've noticed it too, is some of these names are hard to pronounce, and some of them are very difficult to remember. And I find that I couldn't remember a lot of these names. And so I would call students over and they would say to me, "Why do you keep asking me my name? Why can't you remember my name?" And I'll say, "Well, first of all, I'm old. But the reason why I keep asking your name and the reason why I want to pronounce it right is because your name is your identity. Let's learn the names of our students and let's pronounce them correctly." And that goes a long ways. The second thing that we can do is we can start with a conversation instead of correction. One of the things that I've noticed down through the years is that, a lot of teachers right in first period, man, they crawl right up into the tail of students. "You're not on time. You didn't have your book. You don't have a pencil. You know you're supposed to come in here and your Chromebook's supposed to be charged. And I'm sick and tired of you doing all these things. And I know life's hard, but I get here on time and you need to get here on time too." Can you imagine what that does to the psyche of the student? I can tell you this, that if I walked into school and my principal or assistant principal or somebody else came to me and said, "Hey, you know what? You're running 3 minutes behind. And you know what? You didn't turn your light off in your office last night and you need to do a better job. And if you don't straighten it up, then we're going to have a little chit chat over here in the office." I can tell you exactly what that would do to me. I would be super ticked the rest of the day and good luck getting anything out of me. So maybe it's better to start with a conversation before we jump to correction. Just a thought. Number 3, ask questions that don't have anything to do with academics. Like, "Hey, how are you doing?" Or better yet, "What's your family up to?" Or "Where are you going for the weekend?" Or "Are you going to take a vacation over this long weekend? Are you guys going to go out of town somewhere?" Or "How's it going out on the volleyball team?" Or "How's football practice going?" Any number of questions can be asked that are not academically related. And the whole intention of asking questions to a student, or to anybody for that matter of fact, is to get to know them. And that's what it demonstrates to the student. They are interested in me. Whatever's going on in my life, they're interested in it. And 9 times out of 10, they'll open up to us. Number 4, tell them what you admire about them, not just things that they need to fix. One of the things I just don't like this aspect of my job. I have to be in lunch duty for an hour and a half every day. I'm the dean of students at my school, and I have to be down there for an hour and a half. And it just drives me nuts. But I try to use that time to get to know students and to get to talk to them, in particular, our incoming sixth graders. And so, I'll call them up and I'll notice things about them, and I'll say, hey, you know what? I noticed this, and that's pretty cool. Or I'll bring up some of my older students, and I'll be like, you know what? You have really matured since last year. You're doing a great job. It's just an opportunity to build courage into our students and to let them know, hey, Mr. Miller here, he sees what's going on in life, and you can do that too. Now, I'm not sitting there in your living room or in your car or wherever it is that you're watching this, but I can almost hear exactly what you're saying. And what you're saying is, you know what? I have done everything I can to build relationships, and I just have some students I can't build a relationship with, and they still act like knuckleheads in the classroom. So what am I supposed to do? And the answer to that question is that we have to take the initiative to try to understand the root cause. I understand that that's a problem, because at the end of the day, we're extraordinarily busy in the classroom. There are 26, 27, 28 other students in the classroom that need our attention. And so our go-to usually is to react to behaviors. It's to snap off, or to say something slick, or to try to get them to stop really quickly. And what we end up doing is we end up escalating it. And the reason why we end up escalating is because we don't always understand what is behind a behavior. And so when we use an investigative approach to trying to understand behavior instead of a reactive approach that tries to eliminate behavior, it really does something with the student. It communicates to them that, hey, you know what, they have a concern, they care. Now, it may not come out that way, but they recognize that you are trying to work with them. And after 2 decades in education, or almost 2 decades in education, I have become convinced that the motivation behind almost all behaviors is, number 1, it's either control, or number 2, it's a symptom. And here's what I mean. Students, they don't get what they want, so they throw a fit in class, or they act a fool in class, because they're trying to control either you or the environment. Or a student throws a fit in class because he or she does not understand the work that it's in front of them, or they don't know what's required of them. And so they do what kids do, to act like babies. That's a symptom. If we're going to make headway with students, then we have to ask the question, what is this behavior communicating? What need is this behavior fulfilling? Is it an attempt to control, or is it a sign or symptom that says, I need some help? If you want cooperation in the classroom, you have to design an environment that is good for cooperation. One of the things that I have said down through the years is that the teacher is the classroom culture cultivator. And what I mean by that is that we have the power and the ability to determine what the culture in the classroom is going to be. As a matter of fact, we have the responsibility to do that, because if we don't do that, then the culture of the classroom will ultimately devolve into whatever the final and ultimate lowest denominator is in the classroom. And the lowest denominator in the classroom is always disrespect. Disrespect between teacher and student, disrespect from student to teacher, and disrespect from student to student. And this is precisely why the work of building relationships and making connections is important, because in order to shape culture, you're going to have some leverage over the students. And, again, it's my position. The iron fist will not work, or it may work in some sense. But in general, what's going to happen when you try to implement your culture that you want in your classroom with an iron fence, or with an iron fist, sorry, I can't get my words out today. When you try to implement culture with an iron fist, what's going to happen is one of two things. Either the students are going to rebel and they're going to organize against you to try to overthrow your authority, or they're going to comply with you as it relates to behavior in the classroom, but they are not going to do the work that you need them to do. So in order to get the culture that you want, you need relationship and connection, because that's the leverage you have to get what you want. Now, I know it sounds like I'm rambling, and I guess I am a little bit. So I think that there are three things that we can do to create the culture that we want in the classroom. And the very first thing is to ensure that every single student knows and understands the routine, procedure, and expectations of the classroom. It is very difficult, no matter what your age or no matter what environment that you're in, to actually do what you're supposed to do if you don't know what it is that you're supposed to do. Every single student, when they walk into the classroom, they need to know exactly what they need to do, the reason why they need to do it, and how that task needs to be accomplished. If they do not know that, the classroom will devolve into chaos. I have been into many classrooms down through the years where students simply didn't know what was expected of them. They didn't have any clue what the routines were. They didn't know what the procedures were for anything in the classroom. And as a result, it was complete and total chaos. And the culture of the classroom was disrespect. The teacher's mad. Guess who else is mad? The students are mad. But guess what else? The students know that the teacher's mad, so they continue to work to make the teacher even madder. You don't want that culture. To avoid that culture, have some routines, procedures, and expectations and teach them on a daily basis. Make sure the students in your class know what it means to be successful. Far too many students come into the classroom every day and they have no idea what the goal is. They have no idea what it is that they could do in order to say, today I have been successful. And I know that there's a lot of talk about the uselessness of putting learning standards and objectives and the goals up on the board and how that doesn't help anything. Well, I beg to differ. Number one, it does know, because it gives direction. It lets the student know exactly where they're going. And number two, it lets them know, did we actually get there? So that is at least one way to put into the minds of students what it means to be successful. But there's also things outside of academics that let students know what it means to be successful. For instance, were they on time? Were they respectful? What does it mean to be respectful? What does it mean to be on time? What does it look like? And when they know what it is and what it looks like, they can be successful. And I know what you're thinking. Well, doesn't everybody know what it means to be on time? Doesn't everybody know what respect looks like? And the answer is, in 2025, no, they don't. They have to be taught. And we're teachers, so we teach. Just a thought. And number three, what about your structures? Do they encourage collaboration for students to work together and to be a part of a process? Or do they isolate students into working by themselves and to be dependent upon their own knowledge and own understanding of being able to accomplish things? Are your structures, do they give opportunity for creativity? Or do you silence creativity by being a sage on a stage, or by being a do as I say and not as I do, and trying to shut down any type of interaction between students? And do your structures allow for students to take ownership of what's going on in the classroom? Again, that's why the relationship and connection is so important. You got to have a way to leverage what's going on in the classroom. And the leverage that you need right here is that the students own what's happening. Now, I know a lot of folks are thinking, you know what, I've been in this business for a long time, and I haven't been able to do that. And I don't even think that that's a realistic goal. The reason why most of us can't get to that level is because we're focused solely on academics, solely on getting through the curriculum, solely on meeting the standards. And I'm not saying that those things aren't important. I'm just saying that ultimately and finally they're secondary. And the reason why they're secondary is because in order to be able to be successful in the classroom as a teacher, you have to create an environment for success. And that environment means relationships and connections, understanding, or at least trying to understand, the root causes of behavior, and then leveraging your relationship and your connections with students to create an environment of respect. And as a result, a couple of things happen. When students are part of shaping the culture of the classroom, suddenly they own the culture of the classroom. And number two, when students believe that their teacher is for them and not against them, all of a sudden they're willing to go an extra mile. And that's what we want. Since you made it this far, it appears to me that YouTube wants you to do one or two of the following three things. Number one, YouTube wants you to subscribe right here. Number two, it wants you to watch one or both of these videos. But I want you to go to the description box and check out our community and some of our resources that we have for teachers. In particular, our brand new resource, 4 Days to Becoming the Teacher That You've Always Wanted to Be. Go pick it up because it's just for you. And as always, stay strong and keep teaching.